Yeah. It's the mafia. Yeah.
He's a monkey with cymbals in his hands instead of just catching the
and
doing this.
They're giving us like a 24-hour go feed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a Bill City. Yeah, a Buffalo Bill City. Yeah, we got Josh Allen, got Steph.
I know they mentioned something about an ultrasound to check the nerve endings and everything.
Hopefully
else
he's
like
not pregnant. That would
Hopefully
be, that
not
would be a disaster. I hear that's a 9-month timeline to recover from at the minimum, is what I've heard.
Yeah, Ike McKenzie on a jet sweep. Maybe it's a fake. Honestly, it's a TD either way when you got Josh Allen making plays. Win a ball before we get a new stadium.
Someone's making a new Twitter at some point. Maybe we should do that.
Honestly, I'll just start a shared Google Doc, and that'll be our new Twitter. That'll be our new Twitter.
Just people just adding shit in.
Anonymous Hedgehog is saying "fuck your mom." Like.
This is our team forever. It is forever. We got Josh Allen, got Steph.
Folks, welcome into a brand new episode of the Crowd Assist Podcast presented by Trainwreck Sports. Wake here with my co-host, the Jake Micah, and of course, our very special guest for this, Buffalo Rumblings' own Jay Spence, the King. Jay Spence, great to have you on. We've been looking forward to this for some time. How's your Tuesday evening going?
Man, it's going good. Real quick, man. Shout out to Don Brown, man. Like everything.
Yeah, I know, right?
Does, everything. Like you playing the intro, and I'm just like, man, everything he does, great. But yeah, no, Tuesday's been great. We woke up with news about Cole Beasley, and
great. Yeah,
that was, I mean, that made my day. I've been pounding the table to get Cole Beasley back in Orchard Park. I thought it would never happen based off of how they broke up, the team and Cole broke up. But yeah, no, for me today's been great. Think your day has been a little different, but we're here.
We are here, and you know, on that note, before we talk about Bills Jets, Bills Dolphins, Beasley, Jake and I definitely want to address the elephant in the room. Last night on Trainwreck Tonight, Jerry Sullivan made some comments that, frankly, just I was watching live, and they really made me just absolutely sick to my stomach. It was ignorant. It was reprehensible. Like, knowing football is not a matter of testosterone. It's just genuine interest in the sport. Like it's absolutely maddening that is a rational thought in someone's mind. And my favorite guest that we've ever had on this program is Robin Mundy from the Buffalo fan base. And Jay Spence, I don't know if you've ever done a show with her, but she is just top to bottom a great human being. And on top of that, every time she's on this show, she brings such a nuance to this conversation, a perspective that was not even on my radar. And she is the one guest that we've had where every time that I'm done talking to her, I can say confidently, I am a smarter football fan because of her. And for Jerry to come on one of our shows and undermine her, undermine all of the women in Bills Mafia, whether they're fans or journalists, and just women in sports in general. It's just women should be able to enjoy whatever they want without this bullshit just happening, for lack of a better word. And so, you know, to any women who are watching, I understand if you don't feel comfortable commenting on this program, making your voice heard with us. I understand we need to earn your trust back. However, don't let men like Jerry discourage you from loving football, from learning about it, and from talking about it with whoever you want to, whenever you want to, because it's one of the great unifying things in sports. We've been saying that for years. We see it with the World Cup right now. And just for something like this to be happening in any year, but let alone with how much progress we think is happening in the world in 2022, it's sickening. And Spence, I know that, you know, you're here under these unfortunate circumstances, and I want to give you the floor to say whatever you want on this subject as well.
Yeah. So first, I'm agreeing with everything that you said about the comments that Jerry made. They were absolutely not only incorrect, but they were insensitive, and they were just any negative way you can view it that way. Like that, nothing about that was right. But the next step I want to take on this is going through, so for instance, you and I, the three of us spoke privately prior to going live here. I talked a little bit about when my Aunt Pearl was killed at Tops, and one of the things that I remember, and it's because it's something I still live with every day, is when you're going through something that's motivated from a place of any type of negative ism. So whether it's sexism, racism, any of those negative isms, you want your friends, you want your allies, the people who claim that they are on your side, to take a stand. So ladies, everything that Wake said, yes. If you feel uncomfortable, reach out to me. I got your back. We'll earn your trust. We'll keep your trust. But then fellas, let's do better, fellas. Like as the guys, when you see this stuff, so on the timeline, don't sit back and still kind of try to pat Jerry on the back or try to be part of the good old boys club. I get it. We get caught simps. We get caught all types of stuff. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is, if you truly care about somebody, and if you have a sister, you have a mother, a daughter, a niece, if you're related to any woman, this type of stuff should bother you. So, and speak up on it. So, for me, like I said, I agree with everything you said about Jerry. Unfortunate in one regard that he had to lose his job for it, but that's the consequences. Every action has a reaction, and hey, deuces, man. He ticked me off Sunday with Josh anyway, so deuces, man. But yeah, no, ladies, you have a friend in me, and I promise you, anytime I see stuff like that, I'm gonna stand up for you, with you, and walk with you for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both said it perfectly there. Like you guys said, we have to earn trust back here at this space, but it's still a space where we want to encourage everybody and anybody to be involved in our platform and give their opinions and share and do whatever with our content, because that's the kind of space that we want to be in with everybody. It's disappointed that we have to address this on our platform, and like we said, when we're trying to talk about a fun Bills season and everything else, but hopefully we can learn from this experience. And also just, I think if there's any silver linings, people highlighting the great work of people in Buffalo that are doing work, great women. We have, Catherine Fitzgerald, Elena Getzenberg, a couple names, Maddie Gabb, Rachel Hotmeyer, Julianne Polisi, Jenna Cottrell. Like, those are just a couple names of the women doing great work. The Bills Mafia fan base, between the Bills Mafia babes, between a woman like Kate Glazer, who's out doing philanthropy. Robin, you guys mentioned her. We have a great community we've built up, great women doing work. And hopefully this podcast, Trainwreck Sports, continue to be a positive and inclusive space within there and learn from this experience going forward. That's all we can do, and hopefully better ourselves from that. But
yeah, no, well said between the both of you. And I did retweet a thread that someone put up of some of the great female content creators. So at Wake Jotkins.
Yeah, I think Chad Dominicus put up a nice
Chad did it too. It's at Trolled by Sachi, at Trolled by SACHI. Go look at her thread. She has a lot of great women over there.
And add to it. Anybody
add to it.
Newsletter, whatever, any kind of content that's out there, like that's like however we can do that and spin this, like you said, like you mentioned, both have mentioned, spin it into a positive and build better out from here. Let's take it and do that. Yeah.
And can I shout out Amy, just the young lady who actually made the comment?
Thank you.
I just want to shout Amy out. Listen, she is one of the most beautiful people. She is just like an amazing person. She's a great member of Bills Mafia, great member of the community. And every time that I've seen her and personally interacted with her, it's been nothing but a wonderful time. Like, she is just amazing. So I just wanted to give you some love, Amy, because you just didn't deserve that.
No, you said it right. She didn't deserve that. And the last thing I'll say on it is, we are three men talking about this right now. There's only so much progress when three men are getting on a podcast to talk about it. I tweeted earlier, my DMs are open. Message me if you want to vent, if you have suggestions as to what we can do better, what we can do to be a positive force for change and to empower the women in our community. I am all ears. I'll be damned if this organization allows something like this to happen twice. So I think, does anyone have any more thoughts on this, or no? All right. Nope. It's an unfortunate way to start this show, especially during what is a fantastic season for the Bills. But of course, it had to be done. And I hope the men listening that you took something away from this. I truly do. But the other news that broke this morning, Cole Beasley Spence, as you mentioned before, he is back in Buffalo, and you've been hammering. I think you and Joe Miller, I saw, have been hammering the table for this for quite some time. And so, what about Cole Beasley coming back is so exciting to you? Just to put it simply.
Well, so there's a couple things, but the first thing before we even talk about his on-field play, like the things that he actually does, like the third downs and all those things, you got to understand like the familiarity with Josh. Like, so I did a pod earlier, and one of the things that one of the guests on there said to me, he's like, this is the difference between like you going back to college and you having to make new friends as opposed to you just hanging out with your friends from high school, and you guys just pick up where you left off. You played basketball together or football together, and you just kind of pick up, like you tell the same jokes and you all get it. It's inside jokes. Now, Cole has that opportunity to come back, be comfortable in an environment where it's really, they pretty much got the band back together. You got John Brown there. Stephon Diggs loves it. So you got some of the same pieces, and Josh Allen wanted this to happen. So, that's the first thing. The second thing is, I appreciate the fact that we have a superstar quarterback that now he kind of plays the role of player GM. Because this wasn't a Brandon Beane move. This wasn't a Sean McDermott move. This was 100% Josh saying, no, I want Cole back. Go get him. And they went and got him. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And then now the obvious. We're struggling out the slot. We're struggling on third down. We're struggling to continue to move the ball down the field methodically. You bring Cole Beasley back for one reason and one reason only. He's third and Cole. He's that guy on third down that, if it's 3rd and 4, he's getting you 5. If it's 3rd and 11, he's that guy that's right at the marker that's getting you 11 yards. So that's the guy that we need. You bring him back. Stephon Diggs is going to get some pressure taken off of him. I think this will help Gabriel Davis open up and take some pressure off of him. He hasn't performed up to my expectation. I can't speak for everybody. I know there's some people saying he's wide receiver 2. You compare it to other receiver numbers around the league, he's absolutely wide receiber 2. I didn't expect the drops are huge for me when it comes to Gabriel Davis. I didn't expect I don't know where it is now, but at one point of the season, he and Dawson Knox were tied with like 33 receptions, and it was like week 12. It was like week 12, and your wide receiver 2 has 33 receptions. So that means you're averaging like 2.5 receptions a game. That's not wide receiver 2 numbers. When you got Diggs getting 8 receptions a game, I need him to take some pressure off, and I need Knox. Not on Knox, but I need Knox to get more involved as well. We're going to talk more about it. I don't want to just run off, but
for sure. I mean, the one concern, like, I don't care about the off the field stuff with Cole Beasley. Back in the moment, I'll admit, I definitely did. I got the emotions, all of it. I got caught up in it. Right now, my biggest priority is winning a Super Bowl, as all Bills fans should be. And the thing about Cole Beasley that I love the most, sure, the talent is great. If at his peak, he is a game changer for this offense. How much is left in the tank? We're going to find out pretty quickly. But even better than that, he is just a guy that this locker room loves. Like, you see the Instagram comments just announcing that he's back. Like, you have everybody on this team happy this guy's back, welcoming him back with open arms. And, obviously, as you said, no one happier about that than Josh Allen. Now, Micah, we haven't talked a whole lot about Cole Beasley coming back on this show, so I don't know your stance on it, honestly. We've been caught up in the OBJ hype, and I think between T.Y. Hilton and Cole Beasley now, we kind of know that may not happen until the postseason. Who knows? Yeah. But what were your initial reactions to Bees coming back?
Well, it's funny, Spence, that you brought up the receptions and everything, because it was a big point of one of our shows last week. And right now, Isaiah and Gabe both have 38 catches. Knox has 37. Gabe has 71 targets to Isaiah's 55 and Dawson's 50. And that's just like, you can't have that. You can't have that from your wide receiver too. So to that point, I'm happy with any reinforcement in Cole Beasley. It wouldn't, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, whatever, I might have been the exact opposite, all against him. And like, they don't need another guy like that. Didn't think that they were that way though, when they were even bringing in John Brown. Wasn't expecting that move, honestly, when it came in. I thought that they were going to go trust Khalil Shakir a little more, give him more of a role. They've given him pretty much no role and just went back and to running it back. So I think that they need all the reinforcements they can get. You saw some of the drops in key situations last week with Isaiah specifically. The one on the sideline, I think, is the most egregious, where it just kind of.
But the ball was wet.
Squeezes.
But the ball was wet.
Yes, the wet ball drills. The wet ball drills that they were working on there. It's just like those situations where I think that's the biggest part of the quarterback's frustration is that he doesn't trust a lot of guys right now. So having those guys, if they need to, in a pinch, put in the situation where he's going to trust them for better or worse, I'd rather have him throwing the ball and trusting guys in the situation than being gun shy in a key situation late in the season. So if this is what it's going to take, and it's not the receiving core we thought was going to be out there in a key situation, but that's what the quarterback feels most comfortable with, roll with the punches and throw the guys out there. I still think, them coming late into the season, they're going to have as much juice as they would have, you would hope, at this point in their career at all. So maybe they have a key contribution. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility yet either.
You know what? One thing you just said, though, you said 38 receptions now to this point, right? So I just did the math. Out of 13 games, I know he missed a game or two with the ankle injury early in the season, but if you're averaging the 13 games, that's 2.9 receptions a game. Now, let's take 2 games out of that just for shits and giggles. Let's take that out and say that he played 10 games. That's 3.8. So for a wide receiver 2, you're averaging less than 4 receptions a game. And so I get it. He had and then you want to factor in the fact that he had one huge game against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Yep.
He's not consistent enough for me. And I love him. I'm not saying this to say, like, cut him. I don't know. What I'm saying is bringing back Cole Beasley, take some of that pressure off of him. And now maybe he can get open a little bit more. Maybe he can do some things. Got to stop dropping the ball.
Yeah, he's not a guy you can depend on targeting 8 times a game and having it work out. It just hasn't worked out this far in the season. In a pinch, in the playoff Gabe, he might show up. He might show out and set another NFL record. Who the hell knows? But, based on everything we've seen this season, that's not a situation you want to put your quarterback in. And Micah, you mentioned the idea that Josh, with all these drops, isn't just confident in the players around him. What did, Palmer, what did Palmer say that, is the biggest hindrance on a quarterback? It's confidence. It's not talent. It's not arm strength. It's just being confident that the ball is going to be caught. And I think obviously the elbow has to do with some of Allen's struggles this year, but you can't say that he's fully confident in the receivers around him, especially we expected more from Dawson Knox this year. And Spence, you brought him up. So maybe, we're talking about the passing game as a whole here now. So I think it makes sense to. I think the emergence of James Cook, I mentioned to Micah last week, I think that is the key for unlocking Dawson Knox, because tight end and RB targets, they're pretty correlated because they have the same defenders on the opposite side of the ball assigned for them. So if one's open, the other is usually covered and vice versa. Not always, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's a pretty common trend there. And so I think having a verified receiving threat out of the backfield like James Cook, not Devin Singletary, love motor, love him as a running back, but he has his hindrances just like everybody does on this offense, it seems right now. Cook is that guy we can rely on. And I think that I was surprised at the very least to not see him more involved in the pass game on Sunday against the Jets, especially in a game where the pass game was going to be hurt by the weather. I was there. It was cold. It sucked.
The weather is just horrible, man. Like that first half on TV, you could see it. Normally it's like the weather sucks, but like on TV, it doesn't look as bad. And it's like the weather on TV sucked, man. So I knew it sucked there in person.
Those shots of the lights, that's how you know.
Oh,
the lights,
man.
it was like white out at the lights. I was like, oh, no.
And you just see the light, and then you just see nothing but like just wetness. It is thick. And then the one play where Josh ran like 3rd and 14, and he did like the little helicopter spin when he got hit. Like,
yeah.
When they showed a different angle from that, you could see it there too. It's just like it was just horrible. So now you look at the second half where it was just snow, which to some people is like snow. I'm that person. I'm some people. I hate snow, but dude, I hate it, man. I hate it. But then you look at that, and then you see how as soon as the weather started to switch up, then we get a touchdown to Dawson Knox. Then in the second half, you get Josh Allen looking a little bit more like Josh Allen. So it excites me for the Miami game because there's supposed to be, I think, 7.5 inches, of snow. I don't think Miami's really ready for that, man. They're a little beat up right now. Tyreek Hill is beat up right now.
Yeah.
So you got this team every time I come back to Buffalo, I live in Phoenix now, for everybody who doesn't know. It's cold. I came in the summer. Like I came at the beginning of the season. It was early September when we played the Titans. I had like the karaoke party and all that stuff that we did.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Dude, I was freezing. I was free. I had on hoodies. So like, and that's September. Now you talk about this game where it's going to be low 30s and 7 inches of snow with you know, it's a completely different ball game. So and then have you guys played football? You know, or any like cold weather sports like that outdoors?
I've played soccer in the snow before, different but similar.
Well, you get hit, and soccer's physical.
Yeah,
you get hit. That hurts
lacrosse,
differently.
Yeah, lacrosse practice in the
I played
winter
hockey,
was
so
awful.
indoor cold was never fun either.
So,
yeah, he knows.
So you guys know when it's cold and you get hit, it hurts a little bit differently than when you get hit when it's 70 degrees outside.
There's an extra sting on there. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
You mean from the team that had a heater on the bench in the 55-degree weather that you're talking about right now?
In a dome.
That team might have some trouble.
Now, in their defense, though, the Chargers also had heaters on their side of the bench. I just got to say. In their defense.
I know how well, they're living in LA, though. That's I can't imagine. Like you said, you were wearing hoodies in the, what was it, probably 60s, mid 60s, in the 70s in September. It was probably a little chill, maybe a little wind that night, but I feel it. We'll see what happens. I think that's the craziest thing about that game next week. I don't know. We're kind of jumping around here next year, but the run of bad luck that the Miami Dolphins have run into here, where they get the Brock Purdy game, which, you know, Jimmy G and that team still might have beat them, whatever. But they get this quarterback who nobody has any tape on, and he's actually pretty good and makes a ton of plays against them. They get that. Then they get Sunday. I don't know what happened Sunday night to the Dolphins. That was beautiful.
Like, it was poetry.
It looked like they had an out-of-body experience, to be honest. And I've been way out on Brandon Staley all year. What did you think about Sunday night, Spence? Because I was like, I didn't think that performance was possible the rest of this year.
Well,
it's gone.
Well, the thing is, so remember a couple of years ago, like the Buffalo Bills offense was kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs. Like we were just blowing it up. We were explosive. Yeah. Then teams kind of figure out how to play against Josh Allen. So then he had to find different ways to win. The San Francisco 49ers did the rest of the NFL a favor when they showed how, obviously it was their system. It's that head coach's system. So he's like, I know how to defend my system. I'm gonna show you. So he did it next week against the Chargers. The Chargers don't have nearly as good of a defense as the 49ers. If you take away that crazy fumble recovery, it's a blowout. It's a blowout victory. So, you know, you look at that game and you're like, okay, now I think the Buffalo Bills defense is a little bit, maybe a lot bit better than the Chargers defense.
The Chargers, definitely.
Yeah.
So we have the blueprint, and I fully expect us to do the same thing. But that game, to me, it just proved that throughout the year, and I said it right after the game, like or the next morning, stop comparing Tua Tagovailoa to my damn quarterback. Like, don't be so good, because he's not my guy. And I get it. He got two great weapons as a receiver, so now he can make certain throws and they turn 5-yard gains to 60-yard receptions. Cool. That's so cool. But when they throw off the timing and they start bumping these receivers and these small dudes, like, you know, Tyreek Hill gets a little bit bruised up, get a little beat up, it's not going to look the same. And they showed us that this Sunday, and they showed us that the previous Sunday. Stop comparing that guy to my guy.
No, I'm pretty sure that I if the Dolphins somehow, let's say they went 13-4 and won the division this year, Tyreek Hill would be MVP. It would not be Tua. It would not be close. Yeah, and honestly, there's a reasonable argument for him to be in the running for it at this moment in the NFL season too.
I still think he should be.
Yeah,
like even if they don't, you know, because to me it's a regular season award. If you take Tyreek Hill out of that offense, Tua looks like Tua from last season. Period. Like he's going to look like the guy that from 2 seasons ago that they were like yo-yoing him in and out of the game for Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's who Tua is when he doesn't have superstar wide receivers. If it's not him, I also throw Justin Jefferson in that conversation.
100%. It's amazing to me that Tua has been even put into these conversations because of how have we not just realized how dynamic, like, and one of one Tyreek is at this point? Like, I don't know when he's just going to get the full on respect that he's never, I wouldn't say never brought up in those conversations, but it's always Jefferson first, Adams first, even Diggs first. And I love hearing Diggs first in that conversation. Chase all the time. And Hill maybe not the best out of all that group. Your opinions may vary, whatever, but just the most unique in the way that you can deploy him and everything else. Nobody else I've ever seen in my life like playing football.
I think he still has some of that off field. Like he hasn't had any off field issues. But
Yeah.
I just think the shadow, like it's a dark shadow that's
carries.
cast over him, and just because of that, because even now, like I remember this week, earlier in the week, when it was like, okay, time to look forward to the Miami week. Every comment, man, I would get like anything I post, I would get in a comment about how he did what he did, and it's like, look, I'm not condoning it. I get it. I don't want to argue on Twitter about political or about stuff like that. Like I get on here to talk football.
We
I don't
understand
like
what
what
the
he did.
NFL is. We all understand what the NFL
Yeah,
is. And what
it's
that game
unfortunate,
is.
but it's what it is at this moment.
And it's like, at this point, I'm not going to keep going at it, man. It's like, he did what he did. I don't like it. He shouldn't be in the league. But guess what? He's in the league.
He's in it.
So
now
now
he's
we
in the
got to
league.
talk about him as such.
And he's a weapon. You can't
great.
teach that speed. Oh, man.
No.
That fumble recovery? Are you kidding me?
It was, they were saying it was like a rugby
It's the burst
play.
for me. The burst is what is crazy to me, because it's 0 to 100 faster than I've ever seen anybody. Just just gone. But I do think there's something to the fact that, like you said, him beat up and the timing and everything else. You can disagree with a lot of things that Aaron Rodgers said the past however long, but I think there's something, he's made a great point on McAfee a couple weeks ago about just the simplicity of those offenses that they're running, and how a Brock Purdy can kind of step in and have the success he's having in that Shanahan system. LaFleur, obviously, from that similar system in Green Bay, which is what Rodgers was speaking of. So when you're talking about it with McDaniel and Tua and throwing off that timing, there's something incredibly to it. We saw how good this defensive line was last week against the Jets, and adding into the fact that Tua, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think this is the coldest weather game he's going to play in, or close to the coldest weather play he's ever going to play in. Add on top of the snow elements that he's never been in. Not saying that it's going to be a defining factor, but you don't know what that's going to happen to a guy like that in those elements until you see it. How many times do we see Breeze like out in weather element games that they were done? Like you knew you could count at the Saints and those kind of playoff efforts and everything like that. Could be the fact that Tua is that guy too. And I would, like you said, I'll take our guy in those situations, no matter, even if it looks like it did last week. And this is me jumping around again too, but the thing about last week's performance from Josh, there were missed opportunities. There were obviously drops and stuff. But the biggest thing he's telling himself, you can see it in his decision making. He is just not going to make a mistake, and knows that it's McDermott telling him. I don't know if you guys both had this thought. I had this thought during the game. McDermott and Saleh were just staring across from each other on the sidelines, just loving the fact that this was like the ugliest defensive field possession, Big Ten football ass game that was going on. Like, knowing those two head coaches, they were loving everything about it. And so you know that everything in Allen's ear was to be being safe, taking no chances. And he didn't really take any unnecessary chances from what I remember in that game. And I think that's part of the reason we won that game. Even if it's an ugly offensive performance, that was a big way to, it's just winning on multiple ways. You don't have to win out pretty all the time.
And that's like the thing that, like, you know, the fan base seems divided on, you know, even within themselves and on an individual level. When the Bills win a giant game, you know, it's, you know, they never win a close game, but then they win a gritty game against a divisional opponent with a top 10 defense in awful weather. And
everybody wanted those close games. They didn't want the discourse that comes with the close games.
Yeah, it's the monkey's paw. It's the monkey's paw. This is the Bills team, not the Bills team. There are aspects from past seasons that I would love to add on, but in past years, we haven't gotten wins in multiple ways. And this year, we're finally getting it. There's no one consistent formula for winning in the NFL. And so, you know, I think on a talent and production level, I might have been more confident in last season's team. But just based on it seems like they're a more cohesive one unit this year. And they're more focused and zoned in and well coached. Honestly, I feel like the coaching, you know, we've been talking about Ken Dorsey a lot this offseason. McDermott has been getting some fingers pointed at him for in-game management, but all in all, I think this is the most buttoned up the coaching staff has been since Sean McDermott got here.
I love Sean McDermott, and I love Ken Dorsey, and I love Leslie Frazier. I agree with you, man. I think, and as much as I respect Brian Daboll and I love him, and I hated to see him leave, but he passed the baton to the right guy. And
yeah,
look, I get that fans want us to blow teams out every single week. I get that, you know, it's like, oh, we got to be 45-3 every week. We got to play great defense. Tremaine Edmonds has to make a splash play 3 times a game. And like
his name.
I get it. I completely get it. But in reality, you go against teams like the Jets who have a top 5 defense, top 6 defense in the league, and they're super tough. They have a great defensive line. And when your offensive line is a little beat up, guess what? You're not going to look like the offense you were in week 1 when you were extremely healthy. So I look at that, and then, to swing it back around to this Miami game, I think Miami has to be concerned now because they're beat up. And guess what? The Bills, we didn't have Jordan Poyer the first time around. We didn't have Tre'Davious White the first time around. So now you're adding these 2 guys to the secondary that really we still should have and could have won that game. And we gave up a long bomb to Jalen Waddle scored. Did he score a touchdown on the pass, or was it like a? I don't remember if he scored, but it was just
whatever,
but it was like one of those plays where it's just like, damn, we had to give that up. That's not happening with Jordan Poyer back there.
No, I vividly remember Jaquan Johnson like chasing down Jalen Waddle and just being like,
what? Like, why is it? What?
Yeah. And even less those 2 players. Do you remember how vast the yardage differential was in that game?
The yardage, it was literally
497 to 212.
I think Ryan Russillo had the stat right after that game where he was so adamant against it. He's like, the Bills lost at a statistical anomaly. It was like the 1930s or something to lose with that kind of yard differential, everything. And Josh Allen, if he doesn't short arm a pass to Isaiah McKenzie on a wide open out route, they win the game with like 12 seconds left or a minute 12, whatever that throw happens in that game. Like, that's how it was that close to being a win, and we're not even talking about it. So
I know y'all love Isaiah McKenzie over here, man, but he grinds my gears.
Where did you get that? Where did you get that idea?
I was being sarcastic, but he grinds my gears, man. And then and then lately, the little comments that he's making. Did you see yesterday? Like before he did a show, he tweeted out like, like he's like, oh, let's do wet ball drills and we're gonna give prizes out to the people who catch them. Are you kidding me?
You expect a plumber to come out and catch a wet football? Like,
bro, you get paid $2 million a year to catch a football, and you get paid $2 million a year to be a weapon, and you get paid $2 million a year to get out of bounds when it's time to get the hell out of bounds.
That's that too.
Then we got games where he's like,
before you get the ball,
get out of bounds when you're supposed to. You got a game where he went out of bounds and just stood there, and then Josh ended up throwing the interception, and you didn't even chase the guy down to get.
Well, and that brings us all the way back around in this conversation, because everything that you're saying and that you have seen, you damn well know that our guy Sean McDermott has seen, and probably was why they're more than okay to bring a guy like John Brown and bring a guy like Cole Beasley back in and be like, you know what, maybe it's not as dynamic as it once used to be, but at least I know what I'm getting out of it, and at least it's consistent. Because that's the thing with Isaiah, as much as anything else. This Dolphins game, he might be pissed off that they actually signed Cole and go off for some 7 catch for 123-yard game and 2 touchdowns where he's beating,
one of them's a rushing touchdown too.
Yeah, and just things like that, and everybody's going to be back on board. But that effort doesn't happen. I'd rather take, if Beasley's going to give us 5 for 70 over the variance of what we're getting from that position.
I'm with you. And the funny thing is, it was Isaiah McKenzie who was like the open recruiter for Cole Beasley to come back. And
yeah, right.
Listen, I love it. It's Christmas. It's coming early for me because that means Isaiah McKenzie is going to see the field less, and that's what I like. Less Isaiah McKenzie and just less mistakes. I don't understand. They will bench Devin Singletary if he fumbles or he does something wrong, but he's clearly, maybe not now, but early in the season, he was clearly our best back. Yeah. Now I think James Cook is showing his, but they would bench him ASAP. This dude McKenzie makes mistake after mistake after mistake for season after season after season, and he's still on the roster. He doesn't get benched. They trust him more than anybody. And it's like, what, dude?
It could come back to another main point we brought about. Maybe Josh just likes him.
Maybe
it's a 17 thing where he's just riding with this guy all the way through. I mean, it seems like they're pretty close, those two, a lot like any interactions we see from 10,000 feet view, whatever.
It's like me with the girl I met my freshman year of college when she transferred out. I thought I loved her, but I just loved the idea of her, and I think that's where Josh and McKenzie
Josh loves the idea of Isaiah McKenzie and Gabe Davis. I will say though, so were you surprised that Jay-Z was searching out Gabe Davis because that really threw me for a loop.
No, so Gabe Davis is actually signed to Rock Nation Sports. So
Thank
whenever
you.
Jay-Z is at a game,
Never mind. Okay. Makes all the sense in the world. Makes all the sense.
Anytime that Jay-Z is at a game and he has one of his players there, it doesn't matter if it's a guy that's like, not even a starter. If he's on the team and Jay-Z's there, don't ask me why I know this. Jay-Z is my guy.
No, I know Jay-Z's your guy. I know Jay-Z's your guy. Didn't know that Gabe was signed with Rock Nation. That makes literally all the sense in the world now. Okay, because at first I was just like, damn, Gabe really like he must be in some circle. Like he must just know.
Is he that dude?
How is Jay-Z? Like damn. But all right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep,
still that dude.
That was it.
He's Rock Nation. He's still Rock.
He actually, and you know what? That game in Kansas City in the playoffs is what got him that elevation. He had that big game, and then like a week later, we're eliminated. So I guess his offseason started. It was announced that he signed to Rock Nation Sports, and it's like, that's a good move. But yeah.
Yeah. We're good for that. Was a dope moment though. It was crazy.
I was excited to see it.
Cool.
I'm gonna try my hardest to get that. I'm gonna blow the picture up of him and Josh shaking hands. I gotta try to get that signed by both of them, man. Like I gotta.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'd be real cool. That would go right behind you there, wouldn't it?
Yep, it would be literally right
forever. Bro, literally that exact picture is like one of my most surreal moments of my life as a Bills fan. Just being like, that's a Bills quarterback, and that's Jay-Z.
How far?
I think when it happened, I tweeted, I was like, I'm gonna cry. Like it was just the best moment for me.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone all over the place here. We've gone Jay-Z. We've gone back and forth to the Jets and the Dolphins. We spent like 20 minutes, I think, on the offense. And the last thing I wanted to get to while we're here, the race for the 1 seed. I think that the AFC 1 seed is realistically in sight. For me and Micah, I think, we've said it probably 30 times on each show. It comes down to the Cincinnati game. That's really what it comes down to. I'm pretty confident in our ability to take down every other opponent. The way we handled the Pats in Foxborough, not worried about that the last week of the season. Chicago Bears defense.
I'm still slightly terrified about Justin Fields, but we'll get there next week.
Yeah. But as far as, do you see the Chiefs possibly dropping a game? Is it win out is a must for the Bills right now? Because the Chiefs are a little more inconsistent, a little more wishy-washy that some people kind of are remembering that they almost lost to Malik Willis and they did lose to Matt Ryan and the Colts.
Well, I tell you, so they have the Texans this week, and then they have the Seahawks, they have the Broncos again, and then the Raiders. Look, division games are always tough. They almost lost to the Broncos or I don't want to say almost lost. It was a tougher game than they thought. So if Russell Wilson went out with that concussion, who knows? And that's crazy to say this year because he's absolute cheeks this year.
He looked good,
but it's horrible. But they almost won that game. So you look at that. The Texans, I think they'll demolish the Texans this Sunday. The Seahawks are not a walk in the park. They're like it's not an easy thing looking at the Seahawks. Geno Smith is playing lights out. Like Rex Ryan probably wishes Geno Smith was playing like that years ago, or he still would be coaching.
Yeah, right.
So that's not a walk in the park. And then, like I said, the Raiders, man. Anytime you have the league leader in rushing and you have a Devontae Adams type receiver, you're always going to be. So to answer your first question, I don't think it's a guarantee that they went out. But for the Bills, I'm with you. Like, I think the game that I'm worried about the most is the Bengals. But don't sleep on the Bears. I think a lot of times, we overlook, and this is just a conversation I've been having with a few people. Sure. You look at the emergence of their quarterback and the way he's been playing over the last 7 weeks. He had an injury, so he was out for a week or two. But you just look at the stretch of games once they started to figure out how to run the offense through him. He's running the ball like Lamar Jackson, and then when he is on the run, he's able to throw the ball with accuracy, and his receivers are Mooney is Don't sleep on those guys, and the Buffalo Bills were good against the run. We're not good against running quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, like we put pressure on him in that game against Baltimore, but he's still Lamar Jackson. He still scared us. So I think we should beat him. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, the Bills are going to take an L. But what I'm saying is any given Sunday, and that game is one that I have circled. It's like Christmas Eve. Players are probably like, it's Christmas Eve. We'll go party in Chicago. Don't sleep on those boys. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, Micah's in Chicago, and he's very, very regretful that he won't be at that game. To me, it looks a lot like
NFL
the
schedule
Detroit
makers
game.
are my worst enemy, but that's all right.
Yep.
It reminds me a lot of the Detroit game, though. Like, we're kind of overlooking it. We're thinking like, oh, this could be high scoring, but it'll be a blowout. Like, it's not a foregone conclusion that is a win. I have a habit of going like ebbs and flows of me picking the Bills on this show. Is I'll pick a blowout, they'll humble me, and then I won't pick a blowout. And then I'll be like, oh, we won easily that game. Time to pick another blowout. And then I'll get humbled. It's just like the same thing over and over again. I haven't been close on a single prediction this year. It's been terrible.
I was good in the first like 3-4 weeks. And then, it just, no, you know what? When Josh Allen got injured at the Jets game, after that, it jacked me up. Like, cause it was like, oh crap.
Oh,
man. Like, yeah. Cause his arm just, I still don't think he's Josh. Like I still think he's kind of has some lingering effects from that. Hopefully this weekend we'll see him turn it up because like I said, we were supposed to beat the Dolphins the first time and their fan base is absolutely just insufferable. And there's one content creator I know who you're thinking of. You already know. Yep. And the moment the clock says 0, I am going to unleash on this dude. Like y'all, if y'all have never seen Spence participate in Twitter beef, I'm telling you, it's happening Saturday night. Like I don't care if the Bills win by 1 or 100. He is about to get this work. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. I've been waiting. God. I've been waiting, man. I've been waiting because he's just the way he talked to the chefs. The way he talked to other people that was just, like, I mean, okay, y'all won. I get it. It's your Super Bowl in week 4, week 5. I get it. It's your Super Bowl. Yeah, man, congrats. Y'all won one game against the Bills in the last 5 years, basically, maybe 2. So they won one game. The first game Josh played against them when
there was a
Charles
Clay dropped
him. Yeah, when he dropped, and then now this one you win when you should have lost. Our players were out because of heat exhaustion. Diggs had freaking IVs in his arm at halftime. We had no offensive lineman. We were down to our 3rd string offensive lineman, and you're celebrating. It's the game. Injuries are part of the game. You can't use that as an excuse. Now they want to use every excuse in the book because they injured and beat up. Man, get the hell out of here. No, I can't wait for Saturday night.
If they lose because Tyreek Hill is out, I can't wait to watch you unleash that back on them. Injuries aren't an excuse. Not an excuse.
I just wanted all those people in that moment. Like, have you ever experienced like a full leg cramp? Imagine your whole body.
Yeah.
Your whole body.
Whole body. Dick said, I've never felt anything like it in my life. In his life, he's in the NFL for how long? He's never felt anything like that.
He said he was having cramps on the side of his stomach, his back, his legs, and feet at the same time. Like, could you imagine, like, first of all, you ever have a Charlie horse wake you up or something like that?
Yep. The worst. I'm like screaming.
Yeah.
Your whole body at one time. You're like a walking Charlie horse. Hell no. And y'all think it's not an excuse. We lost, but y'all can celebrate that. Yeah.
That's not happening with the cold. It might hurt a little bit, but we're not getting full body Charlie horses.
And then you talk about Super Bowls. The Super Bowl's in Glendale this year. It's a dome. If it's cold, they're gonna close that thing up. Let's see you. Let's see you on a level playing field. Y'all want to talk this talk? It was literally, man. I was at the game. I spent like $65 on water, and it wasn't enough.
Jesus.
Like when we got out of the game, I could not wait to get some Gatorade. I got a liquid IV, and all jokes aside, I
believe you.
Bro, it was insane.
It's no joke, bro.
Wow.
So it's no joke. I was at Rolling Loud this year in Miami, humid, hot, hand in that heat. Like, that's not a joke. Like, that Miami heat, it just wears on you.
Man.
UV index of like 12. Like, no one. That's the thing people in Buffalo don't think about is UV index. Even in any northern, northeast, Midwest, anything, they don't think about UV index as a thing. And then you go to Miami, it's like, yeah, if it's 13, 12 out there, you better be ready.
Yeah. And the humidity was insane because that was the weekend of the hurricane too. So like a lot of places had to evacuate, and it wasn't like directly on Miami, but they were feeling certain effects from it. It was just different, man. And so it's like, okay, y'all got us on that one, but you wait till Saturday night at what the game ends. It started at 8:20, so it ends at what, like 11:15. You wait till 11:16. You just wait.
You have an alarm in your phone right now. You got a reminder. You got notes, apps. You got everything.
Bookmarks. I got bookmarks. I got so many receipts. He gonna catch this work.
I haven't seen someone as mad as you talking about this dude since the last time I heard someone say Kirk Cousins is good. Oh man. Jay Spence, it's been an absolute pleasure, my man. I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Before we let you go, we want to get a prediction for this weekend. Give us a score. If you're wrong, you're an idiot. If you're right, you are the smartest guy I know. Okay.
Okay, so I'm probably an idiot here, but
cool. Self-awareness is key.
You know what? I've been doing pretty good when it comes to the Bills lately.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to keep the streak going. So DraftKings, they opened with 7.5 in favor of the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bills are going to cover. I think it's going to be like a 13-point victory. So I'm going to go with like Buffalo, like 35. So maybe not 13, but like 35-21. I think they'll still be able to get some points up. So I'll give us a 2-touchdown lead. We're going to win that game. That's it. 35-21.
Right.
2-score game. Another opportunity for the Bills to win a 1-score game that is squandered, but that's okay, I guess.
Hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
as long as we win, big dubs.
As long as we win,
and you'll be in the building, so they better.
Yeah, you will be in the building.
If you're making the cross country trek, they better.
Yeah. When do you get in?
Tonight.
I get in Thursday. It's gonna be a good time. I'll be there. So if anybody's going to the game, make sure you stop by the Bills Mafia house. I'll be celebrating with Ruben Brown, and actually tomorrow, if you guys aren't doing anything, anybody watching this and listening, check out the Hump Day Hotline. I'm going to have Ruben Brown and Jerry Ostrowski on. We're going to be talking offensive line stuff. To beat up on Spencer Brown a little bit. He made me mad. So we're going to talk offensive line. And but yeah, Saturday, if you're at the game, please come and kick it with us. It's got a live DJ, got a live band. We got food. We got heaters. We got all that. I'm going to be at the heater. So y'all can come find me at the heater.
No doubt about that. I remember my cousin moved down to Arizona a few years ago, and I went down with him, and his car was 120 degrees on the inside the one day. And I was like, do you have seat coolers? And he was like, no, I do not.
Man, you could cook something in your car.
Yeah, you can. Mythbusters proved that. They proved that you can do that, actually. Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks for being with us, man, especially all things going around in the Bills media sphere right now. It means the world that you make the time for us tonight. Shout out Spence. Shout out my co-host Jake Micah. Shout out Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. I know when Spence is here in town, he's gonna have to stock up with some liquor for the game because he's gonna have to stay warm. So he'll probably be going to Outlet Liquor,
the real heaters,
the place to buy a case. Those are the real heaters that you need. But we will be live. Hell yeah. We'll be live on Thursday, I believe, with Greg Tomset. He is about done, I think, with his battle with almost possibly pneumonia. He almost did the Michael Jordan flu game on a podcast with us last week. We said rest up and get better. Hopefully he'll be with us on Thursday. But until then, for myself, Jake Micah, Jay Spence, all of Trainwreck Sports, thank you for listening and good.